Alright folks, so now we want to create this exploded assembly view. We've already constructed our car, so we're going to get from this position to this position and of course the rest of our drawing sheets. So that's going to take a few steps, and we're going to go ahead and start to do that by creating an assembly. So we have all our pieces. We're going to hit the plus sign and we'll click create assembly, and this assembly rename it and we'll call it just in this case demo test car. I know it's the same thing, we had the parts to our name, but you know what, it's helpful to be consistent. We're going to insert those parts. We'll go to our current document, and that's our demo test car. Over here in our Parts Studios, we want the entire assembly, so I'm just going to click the entire assembly and hit the green check, and everything comes in. Now when you see this all comes in together, which is awesome, and if you built them separately, you'll basically wind up with the same thing, because at this point you'll notice they're all not really put together. So that is what you really have, a bunch of disconjoined parts. So we're going to go ahead and put it together right now using our mates, and we have the fasten mate and the revolute mate. So let's go ahead with the first thing we should always do when we start an assembly. We're going to start by taking some part and calling in that the ground. That's the part that's not going to move. So we're going to take the chassis, since everything's going to connect to it. I'm just going to right click on it and choose fix, which grounds it where it's located, and it can't move. Now everything else is going to move around it, and we'll start by, in this case, we'll start by just joining these axles and wheels together, and I'm going to do that using the fastened mate because that's gluing them together. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to find the mate connector at the center of the wheel and the center of the axle. Now it's important that you click when the mate connector you want is visible, not by trying to chase the mate connectors down, because they will move on you. So just when your mate connector is showing, that's when you click. If by chance your wheel is pointing the wrong direction, there is a reverse direction button. So right now it's sticking out, so I flip it back, and there it is. I can continue to add additional components. You can see that one's backwards. I could continue to do additional assemblies, mates, by hitting the green check on the box. If I'm done, then I green check up here and red X to close. So I've got fastened 1, which is this wheel, and fastened 2, which is this wheel. Let's go ahead and put together the other axle. I'm just going to drag those over here. Don't really care. It's not a big deal. And let's put those together. So it's a fasten mate. So I'm going to fasten that to that. Green check if you're happy with it. And then that to that. And that works. Green check. And so now I have a chassis and 2 sets of axles. Of course I need to put that bugger in there somehow and get it to stay. We do want this thing to be able to roll, since it is after all a axle and wheel set. So we're going to, instead of using the fasten mate this time, we're going to go on and use the revolute mate. So once again, same procedure. I'm going to grab that axle hole. I'm going to grab the one on the end. You've got to be careful not to grab the middle or the inside. I want the one on the end. So I'm going to click on that. And then we're going to click on that. And we're going to accept that. And what you're going to see right off the bat is, wait a minute, Mr. Yurko, that doesn't quite look right. It doesn't. So we're going to fix it by going back into the revolute mate that we just created, and notice that there's a button here we didn't use last time called offset, and that's going to allow us to move this Z direction some distance. So I'm going to type 1. Looks like it's not gone the right direction, so hit the that's not going to do it. So it looks like the correct fix is to hit a -1. There you go. And looks like I flipped the direction when I did that, so there we go. So when you go to put this together, let's try that again. I'm going to, so that first one got a little screwy, wonky. Let's go hit the revolute mate, endpoint here, endpoint there, so those center points are the same. You can see that it didn't quite go where I wanted, so I'm going to double click on that. Hit the offset button, 1 inch. If it goes in the direction I want, then all I have to do is accept it. If it doesn't, I type in a -1. So 1 to get me offset, 1 is the correct distance. It's just negative or positive determines which direction is the correct direction. So there's my assembly.